Okay,
So it's still a little bit early, so people might not funnel in for 2 minutes, but I figure
that's fine.
whoever comes in. And I'm aware that I still say David Hotler. I I mean it would be amazing if I was, but hello everyone. I can see some people funneling in. Hello. Hello, everyone is funneling in. Just popping something on the screen for you now. So you've probably already seen it, but in case you haven't, as part of our webinar series here, we are also doing something called the Howdy Partner Challenge. And that allows you to basically do three really easy missions. And I've seen them and they really are fun and easy. And to win a brand new book creator shirt. So I don't just mean like the usual ones you see here. It is a brand new design that we've come up with this year, and I mean it's really cool, I think personally. So if you give that a scan, you will be able to enter into the WhatsApp. That's where we're tracking who's entering, but I will also send a link in the chat if you don't have your phone on you, so you can get to that as well. But yeah, scan away if you want to win a really cool shirt, basically. How many people do we have? Hello, West Tennessee, Dallas. Cool. Where's everyone else from? Obviously, you can tell from the accent. I am from the UK. Tampa Bay. That sounds, you all sound like you're from lovely, warm places, which sounds very good to me, personally. Oceanside, Tunisia. Cool. Well, without further ado, because I'm terrible at introductions, like I say, scan this free shirt, win a free shirt. And I'm going to pass over to Michelle. So, Michelle, if you would like to get going.
Okay. It says host disabled screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Let me double check why that's happening. That should not be happening. Try now for me.
Yep, there we go.
Uh,
Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Yep. Excellent. Well, good morning. I'm Michelle Phillips. I am the coordinator of educational technology in a public school district in North Texas. So, Megan, you're from Dallas. I'm in Prosper ISD, so just a little bit north of you. Um, and we're going to talk about igniting student discourse with book creators. So we provide book creator for our entire district. Um, and so we absolutely love it. So I wanted to share with you some of the wonderful things that our teachers are doing. So in our district, we have instructional observation points. And these are the things that administrators, curriculum coaches, anyone that goes into a classroom, these are the things they're looking for, and other teachers as well when they visit. And so they are frequent student discourse, meaningful student engagement, effective inquiry, questioning strategies, constructive feedback, and appropriate use of technology. So when we describe these, we'll often put it into a graphic that looks like this because meaningful technology integration and meaningful student engagement, they're not separate elements, right? They're interwoven into the other observation points. So this kind of shows it in a different way. Um, and when we're talking about discourse, it's written. The actual definition, if you look it up, is written or spoken communication. But what we want to get is teacher to student and student to student. It's very impactful, student to student discourse. So, but also we have to define that for our teachers, right? What do we mean by meaningful discourse? So, meaningful discourse, it's going to allow students to process information, share ideas, listen and respond to others, and collaborate on a consensus. So, this isn't just something that they're naturally going to have to do. So, this often requires clarification questions, summarization of key concepts, connection to relevant ideas, and analysis of conversations. So when you're talking about student discourse, you want to make sure it's not just students talking, right? Meaningful student discourse is focused on the learning. The conversations center around whatever the subject matter is, but you really want to encourage deeper understanding and critical thinking through those conversations. So you have to set them up in a way it's going to lead the students. And sometimes that requires sentence prompts, sentence stems, what if scenarios, things like that to help encourage it. Also, it needs to be interactive and respectful. It's a dynamic exchange of ideas, not just one person speaking. We remember all those groups when we were growing up where, one person would sit there and you just let them, you tell us and then we'll do it. So you really have to teach students to listen, respond, and build on each other's thoughts. Like even as adults, sometimes we listen to respond, right? We're thinking about what we want to say back. So teaching students to listen to someone else's ideas and then also sharing their ideas while building upon the other person's. And that's not a skill that comes naturally. So we have to really foster that and teach that to our students. Using academic language. The best way for students to learn vocabulary words is to practice using them. So always having that vocabulary and terminology and giving them opportunities to use it, to practice it. Even if it's giving them a list and as you're talking, check off the words that you're able to discuss with your partner, things like that. Also, it promotes collaboration. We want our students to learn to work together, to explore concepts, solve problems, and construct knowledge. To not just tell them, here's my answer, what's your answer? Okay, it goes beyond that. So why? Why do we want to have meaningful student discourse? Why do we want to increase it in our classrooms? It's because it takes learning beyond that surface level. So we are fostering a deeper understanding of content when we encourage students to work together and to process information, to connect ideas, apply their knowledge. Often we know that students learn from each other. And so when they're hearing someone else's perspective, it helps them activate also their prior knowledge and making connections. It also gives a platform for differentiated instruction. So catering to diverse learning styles and ensuring that every student can thrive. Every student has a voice and helping them find it. It also provides authentic opportunities to practice and refine communication, collaboration, and critical thinking skills. So they need to practice it, and they need to practice it a lot because it doesn't come naturally as sharing their ideas. We know we have students that don't feel comfortable sharing their ideas. So, but they're essential. And so as you are creating this center of discourse and these activities, you're creating that engagement and motivation as well. Now, when we add digital tools into the mix, um, it helps to reach our reluctant learners. So, adding that technology where they're getting a chance to think and answer on their own before they see others' responses, it's a lot easier than raising their hand and talking in class. I have a daughter that hated to talk in class. So when they used technology, it gave her a chance to think about instead of just on the spot, like she never raised her hand. So if she got called on, she felt put on the spot, right? So giving her a chance to think about her thoughts through technology first, and then she'd have something to share. Again, the differentiated instruction technology is giving us that platform to easily meet the needs of our students in different ways. Our students need digital literacy skills. So when we use technology, teaching them those skills through the use, we often talk about the lack of digital citizenship teaching in our classrooms, but that it doesn't have to be separate. So when you're using a technology tool, you ask those questions, what is safe, what is appropriate, and you help them learn those skills as they're learning the content in their classrooms. And then the authentic audience piece. So it's not just to the teacher and the teacher looks at it and grades it. So it's more of an authentic audience where they can share their ideas, but it can also give them a sense of ownership and purpose in their learning. So creating a supportive environment for discourse is really important. You have to be very meaningful about it. You have intentional about it. You have to have clear expectations. You have to talk about respectful communication, active listening, and how to build on each other's ideas. This does not come naturally. So, not only do you have to provide opportunities, you have to keep being consistent. And a lot of teachers get frustrated when it doesn't go well the first time. And you can't quit though. You have to address what went wrong, talk about ways to move forward, and keep trying because it's not something that comes natural to them. So they're going to need lots of opportunities. And also, don't just you want to do it in steps. You don't want to just throw them loose and say whatever you want, share your idea, tell them what you think of their stuff. You want to be very intentional about what kind of feedback and slowly like have them look for specific things. Ask a question, start with questions like, what if you did this? What if you did that? Did you think about this? Instead of giving them feedback on what they thought about what they did, ask questions. That's a great way to start. So book creator, let's talk about book creator because book creator, not only the tools that they have, but their templates, the whole platform is built for discourse. If you can do certain things, if you add in certain things. And so the tools that for discourse, the record audio, the record video, I love those. The turn on collaboration. You don't always want to turn on collaboration, but there's a time and a place for collaboration. You can also have students collaborate offline and then do work online as well. The combine books feature, you can send out templates to students and then take all those and combine them into one book. And then you can have that commenting part where then they can look at each other's work and add comments. And now it has the ability, students can comment, yes, using text, but also audio, video, emojis. They can really express themselves. And so the tools lend themselves to discourse. And then of course, and I love the stickers. You'll notice I have movement on all my pages. So I love the stickers. Um, but often when you're creating a book from scratch, that white space can be overwhelming, not only to students but to teachers as well. So I love that there's lots of templates out there, pre-made books. You can pull pages. You don't have to start with that white page. Um, in fact, everything I'm going to show you in here is ready made. That's what this is about, igniting student discourse with Book Creator. Everything you need is right there inside Book Creator. So all you have to do is adapt it for your needs. And so some of my favorite templates come from the monthly activity journals. And so I put that picture where they're under seasonal and they update them, and they have the old ones as well. But I love the different templates. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go through some of these templates that are already built and in Book Creator and show you how we would edit them to increase discourse. So KWL charts, I love them. They're a great example for identifying prior knowledge and igniting curiosity. There's lots of ways to do it. Like these, they're watching a video and then they have the chart. Um, you can This is one of those where what do you know about the topic, because it can be any topic, right? You can read text, a story, and you can say what do you know. This is one of those things where you'd want students, give them a chance to put their own ideas down first, right? Because they need to be thinking before they hear other ideas. That way they have their own thoughts. But then you can have discussions, whether online or offline, and then what do they want to know and what have you learned. um, the collaboration, you can do both. You can do online and offline. The important thing is that it's taking place. Um, and you need to have that blended format. So, really, you need to make sure that not everything is just always online, because you need that face to face interaction too. So, maybe you have students working together and one is acting as the recorder for the group to put it in. Not every student has to have a separate template. Like, you could have them write their thoughts on paper and then put them together as well. You can extend these by how does this relate to previous learning? Add another section, or have a place, record your video or audio, because we want to connect it to what they've been learning about. So as they see other students' ideas as well, you can extend it that way. This one was in the July journal, so it's about bugs. So maybe your content isn't, you don't learn about bugs, but this could be altered for any topic. So in this one, they're watching the video and then they're choosing an insect or a bug and putting facts about it. Also, you'll notice that I love the margin space, because you can put notes, you can put things that will help students or you, as you're looking at the pages. So I love the margins part where you can add text or images. So students can work together to complete and then you can combine all of the pages together, and students can comment on each other's work. That's one way to do it. Or you can just have students work together to complete it, whether they're working together offline or online. But also, you could, after they complete it, have them look at somebody else's and then have them write a story based on someone else's graphic organizer. Or you could have students complete the graphic organizer for different insects. So every student's doing a different insect, and then you could combine them into a single book. So there's lots of different ways to add that collaboration piece. Vision boards. So this one, it's creating a collage of photos from the settings in your book, or a vision board for one of the characters. So if you're using it like that, you can add in that students can comment on each other's work and ask questions. Students create the vision boards and then collaborate by writing stories based on each other's boards. Students can record audio video explaining why they chose specific visuals. But then you can even take it and not have it relate back to a text or a story. teachers can create the vision board on a certain topic, and then students can use audio or video and share their reasoning why they think the teacher chose that related to the topic. You can also Students can create the vision board based on any topic, short stories, text, but also the writing of others. Like have them write a short story or an explanation or something, because we always want to incorporate the writing, no matter what the subject area. We want that writing piece, but we don't always necessarily want students to sit down and have to write a long story. So it can be a short piece of text, but they can do that, and then they can, reflect. So they can create the vision board, and then based on someone else's story, but then that also give it back, show the vision, let the student that wrote the story look at the other student's vision board, and then they can reflect on their own writing and be like, well, that's not what I pictured in my head when I was writing it. Did I use enough detail? What word choice did I use? Things like that. So they're reflecting back, did I really paint the picture in my writing that I wanted to? And then vocabulary. It's always great to expand on vocabulary. I remember my kids always having to write the vocabulary flashcards to study. So you can do this, but you can also have them collaborate. So if you have a unit of study and you have a lot of vocabulary, have kids each do it, have a student do a different word, combine them into one book. And then students have that resource where they can listen and see others work and learn about the vocabulary and practice the vocabulary without having to sit there and do all of the cards themselves, which can take a lot of time, especially for, like, my daughter had dyslexia. So writing out cards all the time was so difficult. I love this one. This one was in the May Journal, and so May and Sherlock Holmes Day. But then they're writing a story, so it's saying, "Hey, Sherlock Holmes is the character. A ruby necklace went missing. Write a story." So I've seen this used in a collaborative writing where like students are in a group, so one student is writing a couple sentences, and then another student has to write, and they have to build upon each other to create a cohesive story. I've also seen where students come with the outline, and then they each write their own story based on the outline of their group, and then they read each other's to see how different they are. You could also do clue-like stories where you're giving students, the setting and whether it's a mystery or whatever the topic, but then they have to use those clues to write their own story. So I love it when you're adding that creative aspect into writing. Students really get engaged in that when they can. And you can actually, it doesn't have to be like a mystery. You can choose whatever topic. I know I need to go faster. I know. Alternative ending. This is one of my favorites. So it gives students a great way to own their own choice and voice into the content. So fairy tale, it can be a fairy tale. It doesn't have to be a fairy tale, but where there's different ways where they can fill out the template and record, or they can fill out the template and again, so another student records the story that they're creating from the outline, or teachers can fill in details and then students can have to add in the rest. And then you can also combine and copy the work. So when you want to engage, the thing to remember about student discourse, there's no right or wrong way to get students to work together. The importance is that you're giving them the opportunity to share their ideas with each other. So when you're fostering discourse, use open-ended questions, make sure to have follow-up questions, demonstrate, model how they're going to work together and ask each other questions. The opportunities are important. The more you offer, the better. And then digital tools can enhance and extend. Book Creator is a great tool for that, but it's not going to replace face-to-face interaction. You want to incorporate that face-to-face interaction with the technology. I'm working with Catherine and Christina from Book Creator. We are actually creating professional learning on the instructional observation points. We're creating books for each one. And so that way teachers can see how book creator, the tools and the templates can be updated and changed to foster that specific instructional observation point. So the discourse one, everyone starts with a teacher guide and then it has an overview of the book. So it kind of gives what they expect to see in the book and what they're going to be doing. And then it goes into learning goals. What is discourse? And then they're seeing a video of it and thinking about how does the collaboration lead to deeper understanding? How what strategies are being used in that video? And then I'm not showing you all of the pages. So, but then you have the plan page where the videos on how to use those specific tools so that they're learning how to turn on those tools to incorporate those different tools that we talked about. And then again, the margins, I love the margins. So it's telling them how to update specific templates for older grades versus our younger students, and then teacher tips. Right now, we're really discussing the format. Right now, it's a video based ebook, but we're talking about do we want to add follow up questions in Google Classroom to make it to have discourse within the course itself, or do we want to even have creation tasks where then teachers are taking something from that and building it for their classroom? Because then that gives us the opportunity to follow up with them and it creates coaching opportunities with our teachers. The integrations, Canva, Adobe's AI image generator, Google Drive. I love the integrations, but also we worked with Holly Clark and we created a book. I worked with her on a book study for her book, and we used Book Creator. So this is a Book Creator book. It is in the library. You can find it. But then we linked out to School AI and Padlet and things like that so that it gives them opportunities to see other tools as well. So I know that last part was fast. It was going slower than I thought, but there's my email and on X and Instagram. I love to share, so I'm happy to help any way I can.
Fab. Well, if anyone had any questions for Michelle, we can go through them now. I think one question I had was, what kind of gave you the idea to start with discourse? Not so much in Book Creator, but what spoke to you about discourse specifically as something to focus on?
So really, we wanted to focus on all of our instructional observation points. And discourse was the first one that we started working on because when you just have the tools out there, teachers, get overwhelmed and things like that. So we don't teach technology to just. I'm part of the curriculum department, but I'm also the bridge between technology and curriculum. My position is so we teach new tools in the context of the specific curriculum. So I wanted to create these micro courses in the same way so that it can be altered for any content area. So really focusing on those instructional observation points because the discourse, getting students talking too much, teachers don't always know how to do that to instead of just turn and talk to your partner, but there's no structure. So we're trying to provide ways to help them with that.
Fab. Great answer. Is there any other questions anyone has? If you drop them in the chat, we can go over them. I'm working on my pause length as well to give people time.
D, I see yours about the YouTube. I will say we block YouTube for elementary as well. And so when you add stuff from Google Drive, it also uses that YouTube player. So there's Edpuzzle, there's Screencastify. You can link out to it to where they can watch it, or you could show it as a group whole class. But yeah, that can be a problem sometimes.
Cool. Well, if we have no other questions, I realize my apologies, everyone. I forgot to send the link to the shirt earlier, but it is now in the chat there. I'm sorry. And yeah, so that was lovely. Thank you so much, Michelle, for talking to us about student discourse. And if, like I say, no other questions, then I'll let. Oh, we have one. Can we watch videos from Google Slides? I wonder if it will link to the slide. Have you tried that before?
So if it, I will say that videos and Google Slides also uses the YouTube player. So that's where we've struggled because students can't watch videos in Google Drive either if YouTube is blocked. Um, so you're still going to run into that problem. So really, screencast. If I saw someone put Vimeo, Edpuzzle, there will be some alternatives out there. You'll just have to link out to them.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, everyone who came along, and big thanks to Michelle for sharing her knowledge with us. And I hope you all have a wonderful summer. Hopefully, you've got a couple of days left of summer break, or it's just started for you. And maybe we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much. And for anyone that did join later as well, as people funnel out, there will be a recording. So don't worry, you can watch that back as well. Thank you for coming along.